This is what we're taking. The Indian method. I don't know what these are called. Tuk-tuk?
Tuk-tuk.
Tuk-tuk. We're going to historic old Goa. Yeah. On the coolest way to drive, low emissions compared to a larger car or truck. I prefer it. Here we go. Woo! We'll get a little focus here. So back in the days, probably most of Goa region was like this. Rice farms and jungle kind of looking. Not how it is now, modern world, but that's what we're doing. It's going back into history. Goa infrastructure is pretty nice. We're on a nice bridge going across the historic river. A little hazy skies today, but that's all right. I don't know the name of this river.
Mandavi River. Mandavi.
Mandavi. Whoa, cool. Leading out to the Arabian Sea. That's why the Portuguese like this place, and probably everyone before them.
This is capital of Goa, Panjim.
Capital, New Goa. Panjim.
Panjim.
Panjim. Yes, that's where they moved the big city from Old Goa. Actually, man, can't see anything over there. You know, a large river that can hold lots of boats. It's a good spot to access the ocean, the Arabian Sea, on your way from Africa or to China. Or now to the Suez Canal on the Arabian Peninsula. Persian Gulf. But yeah, interesting spot on the world. Geography. And I got that wrong. Suez Canal is in Egypt. So that's access to the Mediterranean Sea that was built by the British, I think. Maybe American help with that too. To circumnavigate so you don't have to go all the way around Africa like the Portuguese did for the first time. Vasco da Gama, who came near here, but yeah, that's a whole nother story. But anyway, Suez Canal is in Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula, really close to Gaza. That's having all kinds of problems right now. And the Persian Gulf is not a canal, but accesses areas where there's lots of oil, and near Iran and Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, stuff like that. Two different places, but you can easily get there from here. This bridge. Okay, if I make this part too long, you guys are gonna click off, so let's stop talking, get to old Goa. Good ride though, good ride. Capital of the state of Goa. Cool, Panjim. We're directly right on the river right now, which is kind of cool. Whoa. Meditating in an interesting thing. We're going in the nature. Nice. And as you can see, we're coming up upon it. If I can focus here. Old Goa. Great guy here. Good driving. Peace. Bye.
Bye.
All right. We're going in there, but not yet. I have to do some research first. Hello, my friend. One moment. This UNESCO World Heritage Site. Another one I've been in the world. Basilica here, started to be built 1594, finished 1605. It holds Saint Xavier, the Holy Trinity, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit depicted on the top of the main altar. A bunch of other information. UNESCO World Heritage Site, another that I'm at. This impressive building. Whoa. Crazy. What a construction. Far, far, far from Portugal. Wow. Crazy. Wooden roof. Crazy area. I think I've ever seen it. St. Michael, I believe, here. Hello. Altar. The Roman arch style. Architecture. Roman Catholic borrowed from the ancient Romans. Temple. insane. Even here in India. Tomb of Saint Xavier. Tomb of Saint Xavier. I think that might be his body in there. Traveling man from Spain, India, to Malacca, Malaysia, to Borneo, to China, a bunch of other crazy places he went. 1500s. Died on a boat outside of China. Region I'm not familiar with, actually. Whoa, impressive architecture. Brought his body back here because they liked him to go. The body might be actually on the floor. That's what they usually do. Up there, maybe it's a recreation. Wonder when that was built. Probably way after he died. Here's where the body is. Xavier died when the Ming Dynasty wouldn't let him off the boat outside of nearby Macau or Almen, Guangdong, China, in southern China. Actually very close to Hong Kong on the island, Sangchuan Island. He was on there for 3 months on the boat, waiting to get off. He got sick on the boat, unfortunately died. Guangdong Ren. His death might have been what led to the Portuguese taking the island of Macau, Almen, which it was in Portuguese hands until 1999. This man died near there. Original gold pine wood covered by silver cloth and fine gold lace tomb of Saint Xavier that was used for his body since 1950 until 1953. They really liked this guy. Come on, man. Portuguese, Spanish man, actually. Go to the art gallery. I just wanted to come out and get some. This square is pretty cool. 1605. This was built, finished being built, began in 1594. The Rome of the East. This was known for all of the Catholics of the East or Asia. Wow. I like this message down here. This is pretty intense though. The slaves of the devil. Wow. Lots of messages right there. That's something. Goa history. Old Goa. This church was built by the Portuguese between 1594 and 1605. Woo. So Old Goa, where we are here, was founded in the 1400s as a port on the banks of the Mondovi River by the rulers of the Bijapur Sultanate. So at one point there was some mosques around here that are no longer here, 1400s. So it was built to replace Govapuri, which lay a few kilometers to the south and had been used as a port by the Kadamba and Vijayanagar kings. Woo! Those are hard words to say. Old Goa was the second capital after Bijapur of the ruler of the Adil Shahi dynasty. It was surrounded by a moat and contained the Shah's palace, mosques, and temples, because there was also Hindus in that sultanate that was once here in the 1400s. Old Goa, pronounced Ponemgoi in Konkani, Dioborakuru. Konkani is an interesting language. And this is an interesting thing. So we're in the 1400s of this story. This was completed in 1605. Pretty incredible. Goa was known as the Rome of the East, the seat of the Catholic Church for all of the Eastern Hemisphere. I'm sorry, for all of the Eastern world, like India, China, Japan. I don't know, anywhere where they had Catholics, Malaysia, whatever. Anywhere where they had Catholics in the East. So that was an important responsibility, and it had to look flashy and cool, so you had to build a really nice church like this. I got some videos in inside we'll look at later, but let's keep on going with the story. You can't see it up there, but that's the body of St. Francis Xavier. Wow. What an interesting guy and an interesting thing to do. A relic. We're in Old Goa. Let's tell a story. So, the Portuguese explorer Vasco da Gama, he was the first man ever to round the Horn of Africa over many, many months on a search for India. So they made it around Africa, went over the east coast of Africa, and crossed the seas. Not during the monsoon season. So first they made it to an area in Kerala, where there was a Hindu king there. Hey, buddy. A Hindu king there. And, they didn't really trust him very much. They didn't know what to think of them, but they housed them, and they were, after an arduous journey, didn't have much food or anything. They were practically died. They lost a bunch of men, so the Hindu king in Kerala was a little mad at the Portuguese because they didn't have any gold or anything to offer him as respect, which was normal at the time. This was the early 1500s. So they didn't really trust him. And then something happened where they got in a fight with the Kerala king, and they captured some of his men, and there was a little skirmish battle. So Vasco da Gama had to take off, and he sailed north towards Goa, and the ships of the Hindu king in Kerala, I don't know what it's called, we'll name it here, it's a very complicated name. They chased him down. They surrounded the Portuguese, and the Portuguese were headed here because they heard about Goa, and they're like, all right, maybe we could come here and the Sultan will be nice to us. But no, the Sultan, whose palace was around here somewhere at some point, that is no longer here, he chased the Portuguese too. So he was surrounded on both sides by outnumbered ships. They had cannons though, which helped them out. They were able to blast the cannons and kill a bunch of people that were chasing them down. And Vasco da Gama luckily escaped. For him and his crew, they headed back to Africa, went back around the Horn of Africa all the way back to Portugal. And they told them what India was like. So they really wanted the spices and all the riches India would, and they told them the route. So they were the first to know the route around Africa. But they said there's some not very nice people there, the Kerala king and the Sultan of Goa. So the Portuguese massed a huge army, an armada. And this armada headed straight for Goa. And there was a huge battle. We're going to talk about that next. Actually, two huge battles. Hello, baby. Two huge battles. Woo! Great. One thing I noticed is these stones you see all over Goa. There must have been a mine that the Portuguese set up at some point in the 1500s. Because you see these laying around all over Goa. At least the places I've been. And they were used for forts and churches, and wow, look at this archway. Crazy. Lots of Indian people here having a good time. Hello, from all over the country. Yes, I'm the only foreigner I've seen in a long time not from India. UNESCO World Heritage Site, baby. I love those. All right, so I don't want to read this word for word. We're gonna February 16th, the Portuguese Armada sailed into deep waters of the river, which is right over there. And they landed their troops, commanded by Dom Antonio de Norrota. They assaulted a fort defended by Turkish mercenary Yusuf Guric. Oh, that sounds like a Albanian name, actually. I don't know if he was Turkish. That's interesting. Why were Ottoman Turks here? Who knows? They had a alignment with the Sultanate. Yeah, this was definitely during Ottoman times, kind of the height of the Ottoman times. Suleiman the Magnificent recently conquered Constantinople around this same time that we're talking about. That's crazy. No, actually, no, that hadn't happened yet. That happened in about 50 years from now. What are they doing with the fire over here? All right, let's look at that. Wow. They got a big fire blazing here. This was built in 1666, this cross, the same year London burned to the ground. That's kind of crazy. St. Francis Xavier, and we're gonna do the candle prayer, which, ooh, that's hot. The Portuguese, let's cut this story short. The Portuguese beat off this fort and manned by Turkish mercenaries, I guess, and Albuquerque formerly occupied Goa on February 17th, 1510. So, Albuquerque had a church built, actually over here in 1510, that we're going to go to in a second. But this is an epic place to talk about this. So, the Portuguese, though, they weren't expecting that Adil Shah had just agreed with a truce with the Vijayanagara Empire and could divert many more troops to recapturing the city than expected. He sent Turkish General Pulad Khan, which doesn't sound like a Turkish name either. That sounds like a Mongol name or Central Asian name, Kazakh maybe, something like that. But he was working for the Ottomans with 40,000 troops, with many experienced Persian and Turkic mercenaries that defeated the Portuguese troops on the mainland. Ismail Adil Shah then set up his royal tent by a Portuguese fort, waiting for the monsoon to trap the Portuguese, which it did. Albuquerque was informed of the plan, and the Portuguese got together and lost that first battle in 1510, lost the city of Goa. And then, though, the Portuguese regrouped and came back, causing vengeance on these very lands, right where we're standing. All kinds of battles and bloody bodies and horrible shit was happening all over the place. This was the royal palace of the Sultan of Goa, right on this spot. And there was mosques and Hindu temples, and the Sultan's palace was one right around here. But then Portuguese Albuquerque came back with a vengeance. We're gonna talk about that next, right on this spot. Ooh. They didn't lose the city right away. Sorry about that. See, that's why I have notes. All right, so the Portuguese had some problems at that fort. The big 40,000 troops came upon them, but they were able to hold some areas of Goa still. So through 1510 to 1511, they were suffering some wounded, 50 Portuguese dead, while 800 Turks and 6,000 Muslims, civilians and fighting men had perished in this original battle. But they held on to some territory. Albuquerque headed to Malacca, which is now in Malaysia, the Malacca Sultanate, which the Portuguese wanted to take over because of the valuable shipping lanes and spice trade and access to China through that direction. So for the duration of the following year, the city would come under siege by those reorganized forces of Pulad Khan, that I just talked about. A little bit out of order here. Portuguese constructed a bridge and fortress in the city near here, but it failed to take the city proper, which is right on this spot. 1512, Albuquerque returned from Malacca, which is pretty far from here. Imagine going on a boat all that distance through the Straits of Malacca, around the tip of India, all the way here to Goa. And he had 20 ships, 2,500 men, numbering about, and also 3,000 soldiers. Albuquerque came in. Albuquerque and his Portuguese troops failed to take the city proper for the first time. He returned from Malacca in 1512, and they came in here, and there was a huge battle for old Goa and Goa in general. Who knows what the details of that are? Won't get into them, but probably thousands of deaths, all kinds of craziness happening. He allowed Rasul Khan and some of his men to leave, but all of the Muslim inhabitants of Old Goa in 1512 were massacred right around here by the Portuguese. Woo! That's intense. And also, there was a couple Portuguese that were captured by the Sultan in this battle, and they were forced to switch from Catholicism to Islam, and Albuquerque tortured his own men right on this spot and had a few of them executed. Converting to the infidel faith is his exact words. Colonial Goa began. Woo! Hardcore history, man. I tell it how it was. Don't leave anything out. That's how it goes, man. That's what history's like. Yeah! This time around 1510, 1512, this was just after the end of the Reconquista in the Iberian Peninsula, where Catholics and Muslims were fighting for hundreds of years, including Portuguese. And that just was completed in 1492, so just a couple decades before this. So Portuguese had a lot of experience in warfare against their hated enemy. Yes. So keep that in context, you know. I know what I was saying was a little scary and intense. All right, anyways. There were mortal enemies. Yeah. Walk into the oldest church. Let's take a break in the story after all that death and destruction. Goa's jungle, man. This is what Goa would be like, probably, and was like for hundreds of years, thousands of years. There's probably little villages and temples and stuff like not a house like that, sheet metal, but anyways, inside there was two nice ladies, and I'm talking about meeting the Pope Francis and my Polish prayer card of baby Jesus and Mother Mary, and that I got in a village in Poland where my family came from, my great-grandparents and my great-grandpa, and then this other prayer card that I picked up in a place of another ancestor of mine, came from in Ireland, Saint Michael, whose my middle name is named after. Look at this interesting thing. So I showed those to them. I said we met Pope Francis in the Vatican in 2020, and they were very excited about that. Maybe they were nuns. They're very Catholic women, and they wanted to photo the cards, and they rubbed them on their neck and kissed them, and that was very interesting. So I keep something very special to many, many people on me at all times, which I hope gives me some kind of good vibes, good juju. I don't know if it works all the time. You gotta believe, I guess. All right, we're walking somewhere. I could have told that story here. This is straight jungle, man. Indian rainforest. I love a good rainforest, except for the humidity and mosquitoes. Hopefully there's no mean dogs down here. They got some Portuguese stone laying on the side, and people living in pretty poor conditions, actually. They have these little workhouses where people, I don't want to film them, they just have a room with no door and nothing inside. They just lay on the ground. Pretty crazy, actually. Unfortunate, this is the oldest church, 1510, but the silver lining is it's actually a restoration, probably I think 2 times already, and now is the 3rd time it's getting restored. So it's not the original, so oh well. The one that we were just at is the original, baby, 1605. But let's tell this story here because this was an important place, 1510. So before Albuquerque left to Malacca to try to secure their stuff there, he had this church built. Well, not just him, but this was the first church built in Old Goa after those first successes, before that massive army came in that crazy battle and that massacre I just talked about of all the Muslim population of Old Goa, which it's part of history, man. Lots of people died on both sides, man. Thousands of people. Crazy battle. So this was the first church, though. First bastion of Catholicism in Goa, but not in India. That was in Kerala, when St. Thomas, the apostle and friend of Jesus, set up a mission there in 52 AD, which is way before the time we're talking about, 1500 years. So not the first church in India. I am going to go there. But first church in Old Goa, 1510 AD, Goa began. And there was an effort to convert some of the Hindu population that was left of Old Goa to Catholicism, which many did. Not all, there's still lots of Hindus here, and there's still some Catholics here, all these hundreds of years later. So after the Portuguese conquest of Goa, it served as the capital of the Portuguese Indian possessions. And Bombay territory and the state of Kochi were also Portuguese possessions originally. Ooh, interesting. I didn't know that. So under Portuguese rule, it is said to have been a city of nearly 200,000 people in the beginning there. Probably not up here, but this was the first church. 200,000 people. Yeah, you know what? I'm baking in the sun. I'm really melting. This isn't a good spot because you can't get close to it. 1 year closed, the man said, let's go back down to where there was 200,000 people. Tell the rest of the story. But anyways, this was the first church built by the Portuguese in Old Goa, 1510 AD. But it's not the original. That sun here. Whew. All right, let's go back down. Goodbye. Dio Borakuru. Firamalenge. Maybe I'll come back here someday. 5-10 years, they'll be open. Thanks, buddy. Okay.
If you don't come back in 1 year, it'll be in restoration again.
Who knows? Who knows? Restorations. When that happens to me, when I travel somewhere, boy, does that bother me, but I get it. The Department of Archaeology of India. I like that. I like that. Man, we hiked all the way up here. Fuck. Just the inside would be closed and you could get up close to it, but no, the whole thing's gated off. Nice man over there. Oh well, that's how it goes. I like archaeology. Respect. Make sure it doesn't fall apart. Since I film everything, we're at this little shop. Sting. I am a Scorpio. I am dying of thirst and heat, and this is a stimulates mind, energizes body, says on there. Whoa. Let's try it. It's a very strange red color. Ooh, what flavor is that? Man, my mind can't think of it right now. Caffeinated beverage, not recommended for children, pregnant, or lactating women, or persons sensitive to caffeine. High caffeine, 72 megabytes per serving. Wow, the Sting. Man, what flavor is that? I can't think of it. Interesting. You speak Konkani. Dio Borakuru. No.
Yeah, Hindi, sir.
Hindi too? Okay. Namaste. Very Hindu. This was a Ganesha festival recently for the god Ganesha. I would say Goa's majority Hindu now, but at one point it was majority Catholic. At one point majority Muslim. There's still some Muslims around too. All right, let's keep going. Cool trip. Hey, my new friends.
I don't know.
Hey.
I don't know.
Hello, my new friends.
Hello.
You're from India. Yes. Hey. All right, have fun. History site. Jai Shri Ram. Okay. Firamalenge. Yes. India will be world champion of cricket World Cup. Number 1. Yes. Okay. This one is actually older than the other one, but you know, over here, Bomb Jesus. This one is huge and it looks upgraded, but let's learn the history. Like that, the Archaeological Survey of India sign with the UNESCO World Heritage on there, and it's in I think French and Portuguese. I don't know. Oh, something's happening. So this was built 1534, actually the oldest large church here. And this was in Portugal's heyday as a colonial power. They were doing a bunch of things in Brazil, over in Malacca, in China, and Macau, I think, a bunch of places in Africa, Mozambique area, and man, it's hard to even remember them all. I believe South Africa too, but so this was after the Columbian Exchange, and actually Goa is the first place in the world that the chili pepper went from Mexico through Brazil on Portuguese ships, dropped off here in Goa. That's why Goan food is so spicy. It's the first place in the Eastern Hemisphere that ever had chili peppers, early 1500s. Anyways, we're talking about the year 1534 here. And after the Portuguese conquest of Goa, it served as the capital of the Portuguese Indian possessions and the capital of its eastern colonies, east of here, like in Asia. Actually, the Portuguese had a good base set up in Japan also for a long time. They're the only European country allowed to trade with Japan. I believe it's in Kyoto. They had a little port Bunch of other places too, but let's talk about Goa. Go to the front of this massive building. Church, really old, but there's a huge group of kids that are really cool, but if I film next to them I can't talk. So wow, okay, the chapel of St. Catherine, 1510. Oh, all right, another one built in 1510. Huh, I didn't know that. It must have been on this site and now it's ruined. Oh, I did want to go over here. Okay, let's go over here first. Millstones of a gun factory and a bunch of ruins are everywhere. That's kind of cool. Whoa. So they have like ruins over here of the Portuguese stuff. That's really interesting. All right, so quickly after 1510, oh, these are gravestones. Crazy. Portugal, I can't see any of them. Portugal became, Goa became a city of mixed race. Oh, the church must have been right here somewhere. 1510, wow. Mixed race, you know, Konkani speakers. I don't know, actually, Konkani might be a newer language. I don't know what they were speaking, but people of Indian origin. Remember, it wasn't called India yet, not even close. Wow, this one's crazy. Latin on there. Whoa. All right, and then a bunch of Portuguese moved here, and probably they shipped all kinds of people from other areas, from Asia, Native Americans from Brazil, African slaves for sure, maybe. I don't know. Wow, that's also in Greek. I mean, Latin. God, I can't talk. I'm so high. Sit down and talk about this. Whew. Better get some views for this video. I'm dying of heat. All right. During the mid-1500s, the Portuguese colony of Goa, especially Old Goa, was the center of Christianization in the east. The city was evangelized by all religious orders since all of them had their headquarters there. The population was roughly 200,000 people. One moment. Whew. Royal Seal of Portugal. A tiny, tiny country that became so powerful. It's crazy. Because of their port, Portugal. And now it's kind of a backwater of Western Europe. No offense to Portugal, but it's kind of poor and it's too bad, really. Cheap cost of living. Wow, this person died in 1840 that lived here. I like Portugal. I've never been there. Not cheap for the locals yet. This door is modeled after the Roman Empire. Roman Catholics took the architecture that they used to use in temples and buildings in ancient Rome and copied it. That's very fascinating, man. And this old church built 1510 is under repairs. Hello, sir. Dio Borakuru. Namaste. Dhanyavad, man. Namaste. Oh, there's birds up there, or bats. Those are bats. Oh, she's knocking them with sticks while we come in here. Oh, please, I want to go over there. Taking this over like a natural cave, and bats live in here. And I don't want them to urinate on me because you could get viruses, man. So let's make this quick. Wow, this is incredible. All right, I'm pretty sure this is a basin for Hinduism. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but like I said, this was a mixed community. This church was another church. I told that story and walked all the way to that one that's closed, but this was built at the same time, 1510, before the full conquering of Old Goa. I wonder what it was built out of, man. I don't know, maybe they rebuilt it. How did it not get destroyed in the battles? Maybe it's built out of a mosque, I don't know. There's a bunch of crazy gravestones and all this cool stuff over there. All right, well, I was gonna say this in front of the church where St. Xavier is, but let's talk about his life over here, out of respect for his body that's still sitting in there. He was a world traveler, very interesting guy. He's buried right around the corner. He definitely was here in the mid 1500s. So he led an extensive mission into Asia. He was born in Spain, this guy, and he came here and helped lepers in a leper colony. He was influential in modern Goa. He was extensively involved in missionary activity. 1546, Francis Xavier proposed the establishment of the Goan Inquisition. Ooh. Inquisitions always weren't great, but that was like to reform the church and make more people Catholic, and often tortured people and did all kinds of crazy stuff. But hey, that was the method of the day. An edict by the Portuguese king at the time, John. From here, his base in Goa, he went on missionary work to Borneo, a place I know well and been many times. That's very interesting, which is now Malaysia, Indonesia, and part of Brunei, a small country of Brunei. The Maluku Islands, which is in Indonesia, where the Portuguese also were, where they got nutmeg, I think, that made them billions of dollars in gold in today's money, probably. And Japan and other areas. So in those areas, struggling to learn the local languages and faces opposition, he had less success than he did converting people to Catholicism as he did here in Goa and in other parts of India. So at one point, he tried to go to China, which southern China, damn that heat, I have to get in the shade. In southern China, there was a Portuguese island. I don't know how they got it. If I go there, I'll tell the story. Macau. But maybe it was before Macau was Portuguese, I'm not sure. But the Ming Dynasty didn't allow any foreigners to come into the nation at this time. And it was after the time of Zheng He, famous treasure ships. The Ming Dynasty became closed off crazily. And Mr. Xavier, he wanted to go all throughout China making people Catholic, which sometimes worked. There are some Christians there. And they wouldn't let him on the fucking land. He was on an island off of Guangdong, China, which is a small island just south of Macau and Hong Kong area. Part of Jiangmen, I think it was called. Wow, I wrote it down. What was it called? Shangtuan Island, which means, wow, that's interesting. The Shang Dynasty boat. It's named for, that's kind of cool actually. Shang Dynasty. It's an ancient dynasty of China, like 4,000 years ago. I think that's what it means. Anyways, he got sick. He was on the boat for 3 months. They wouldn't let the boat leave. He was on the boat for 3 months. He got sick on the boat. And he died on the boat. And the Chinese were like, oh, well, what should we do with him? His other Portuguese friends, they're with him. Almost tripped on something. Let us take him back to Goa, India. And that's where they took him. And he's buried in that other church where we were at earlier. His body's still in there, a shrine to a saint that's much loved in many parts of the world, especially here. Many schools are named after him, St. Xavier Academy, and all kinds of stuff like that. Right over there he is. Muerte. I don't know how to say it in Portuguese, but these are old gravestones. Wow, crazy, huge gravestones. Okay, powder and cannons were available during this time, which is how they got a lot of their power. Boom! Blow off ships that had no cannons. All right, that guy that we just talked about, St. Francis Xavier, he's buried in there. Let's go look at his tomb. Where is it? Right there. And I would have said the story over there, but that was kind of cool to do it in the quietness. Here's the school again. And this church, I don't think it's original, but 1661? Maybe it's another one that I'm thinking of. This was built in 1661. So yeah, all the gold and spices and slaves and plundering and all kinds of stuff the Portuguese were doing. They had a lot of money to build big, fancy churches in their colonies. Wow, this one is very crazy. Look closer to this, and the ceiling is falling apart. But Jesus is up there with Saint, looks like, and there's a large, I don't know what that is in the middle. Can't imagine what this must have been like in the 1600s. People in here, Mass in Portuguese. Sorry, I'm super hot, my hands are shaking. I didn't see this when I came in here. This old vat still has holy water in it, which is, it could just be leaky water, but it's weird how there's a little water in there. I just showed some I can't even talk, I'm so hot. Some people from Tamil Nadu, what you do as a ritual in the Catholic Church. Interestingly, they did it too. Okay, let's keep this going. Long video. There's the current Archbishop, and that's in Konkani, which I think it might be a language that they mixed Portuguese with the local dialect. Look, they have Portuguese letters. It's in Latin letters. That's very interesting. Another massive church. Wow. This is an interesting video place. That's for sure. Look at that gold, I think, over there. Guys, you can't get close up to the altar on this one. Smells bad in here. I think there's rats. Named after this guy, Saint Bernard. Bernard. They got a cool picture of him in here. Wow, look at that. Just the time and artwork too. Do all this stuff. Artistry. Look at this crazy wooden door. Probably taken from the jungles of Brazil, the wood brought over here. Now it probably comes from here, but look at that. Amazing. Story is almost over, but not quite yet. One more spot to go. First, we're gonna get lunch. Late lunch. Not here though. Found a good spot with a good air conditioning. Cricket's going on right now in India. Big deal. South Africa versus New Zealand. Ooh, cool. Good hit. This is South Africa. Here's some highlights of something. Ooh. Wickets. Actually, so this is why the Portuguese came here with stuff like that. Black pepper. These are chili peppers imported from the New World. Goa was the first place chili peppers were brought from Mexico through Brazil by the Portuguese to Goa. These are some old lanterns. And here are curry ingredients. Different kinds of garlic and some kind of root. Whoa. Very interesting. Interlude of a story. Portuguese man who learned the making of rum from, I made a video about this actually already, but Caribbean Portuguese Catholic monk who were known for their alcohol making skills, not just Portuguese monks, but all European monks, German, Belgian, all kinds of countries. Anyways, Portuguese man living in India, he must have learned the recipe of how to make rum from sugar cane from the Caribbean somehow. I think they had Portuguese did have a Caribbean colony, Curaçao. Curaçao, it's near South America actually. Curaçao, I can't say it. Portuguese is really hard. Obrigado to this man who made Old Monk. Cheers, about 1850, something like that. Obrigado, salud. It's a damn good rum. I want to try this. Excellent. From the Arabian Sea. Definitely different taste than fish. Sharks are amazing creatures. Maybe they're fishing for the shark food soup and they actually grabbed it. Selfies. They actually took the whole shark and cooked it, which most of the time. Okay, this isn't a food video. Most of the time for the Chinese shark fin soup, they just cut off the fin and throw the shark back in, and hundreds of millions of sharks are killed every year, and it's going to change the ocean ecosystem. This isn't an environmental video either, but let's eat some shark. It was a great meal. It had fresh peppers in there that were super spicy, and it was a nice shark meat from the Arabian Sea. There's a Portuguese villa. We're gonna make it to the last spot to finish this story before it closes. It closes in like 30 minutes, and it's a 17-minute walk, so no delaying. Let's make it. Humidity broke. It rained a little bit. Oh, thank God. It's way cooler. It dropped like 10 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that, 5 Celsius. My buddy's with me. Up. Last time I'm probably gonna see this, maybe not, but we're making it to this last spot to finish this story. This is the last destination, the ruined Tower of St. Augustine. Just like the oldest city in America, the United States of America, is named St. Augustine, Florida. Built by the Spanish 1500 something. Actually, I feel like I'm in Rome kind of walking around. It's kind of cool. Old Goa and the Portuguese Empire went into decline and ruin. What happened was first disease, malaria from damn mosquitoes and cholera from bad water. Epidemics ravaged the city in the 1600s. And it eventually became largely abandoned. Like this massive church that was left to ruin. I don't know when it crumbled down, but at some point it did. There was only a population of 1,500 people by 1775. The Portuguese Empire still was pretty strong in Brazil, but in the rest of the world, they were kind of losing out, especially to the British, French, Spanish. And yeah, old Goa went into decline, but they moved the home base to the current capital, Penjim. This is a crazy tower. Well, it wasn't a tower. This was a whole huge church that just crumbled. Let's finish out the story walking around the ruins. So, a few people remained, as a lot of these things were abandoned, which is just crazy. All the effort they put in to create all these stones, and wow, this is almost the best part. I love ruins. Hold on, my screen is blurred. Let's walk around the ruins. So this was built, it says right there, in 1572. Thank you, UNESCO, for giving that information. This was a convent of nuns.
Oh, this is the chapel.
There was chapels and churches, and it looks really like
One thing I would like to say is
Roman
everything
ruins.
here is very well labeled.
I like that. Wow, look at that. That's insane. All right.
Sites we've been to.
So mostly just a few nuns and priests live here in the late 1700s. And as you can see, a lot of things were abandoned. Dogs are going crazy. Man, I wish I documented more of this. Damn it, it's closing soon.
This is the altar of Lady of Sorrow.
The altar of Lady of Sorrow. Yeah, you're a lady of sorrow. Just kidding. That's the Mother Mary. Wow. You got graves of people just long
This
forgotten.
is the altar of St. Nicholas.
Wow, look
Everything's
at
so
that.
well
I have to take a photo of that. Let's finish out the story. It's really humid again. It rained for like a second, but now
85%
it's...
humidity, 103 Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius.
This is crazy. This is so huge.
The convent's here, Ray. We were
This
just
is the
talking about
convent.
it.
Ah.
This one.
Okay, so Oh, a double-headed eagle. That's kind of weird. Byzantines. It's hard to tell the story because this place is so crazy. The last thing. All right. Okay, so the viceroy was moved to Penjim. It continued to be the capital, kind of Goa until 1843. Even though it was like abandoned and nobody lived here because of malaria and cholera and lots of other problems. It's fucking humid. Portuguese people were like, get me out of here. I don't want to live here anymore.
This is a huge, this is a church?
I don't know what this is. Like a dormitory too. Oh. Hello. Namaste. Okay. When the capital was shifted to Penjim, Ponje in Konkani, Nova Goa, New Goa in Portuguese. The abandoned city, which you can see here is definitely abandoned, came to be known as Old Goa to distinguish it from the new capital. Wow, that is insane back there. Which was the Portuguese name for the town on the old site of Govapuri. Wow, that picture's so like an overview of the zone. So these are places where tons of nuns and people lived, and there was a bunch of chapels and churches, and it's built in the 1500s. It's really not that old. It's not like we're in an ancient ruins place of the Romans or something 2,000 years ago. Wow, look at it over there. These people are picking grass or something. I don't know.
Different opinions of ancient.
No. Ancient is everything everything before the fall of the Western Roman Empire around 500 AD.
What's that in the glass case?
Yeah, I don't know. Tomb of a baby or something.
What writing is on that?
That is Latin or Portuguese. So let's finish this out. New Goa was incorporated as a whole. Kids in India are so cool. And they all know English. Every single one of them, I think. New Goa and Goa in general did not come under the sway of the British like the rest of India and surrounding areas. It held out from the British, which is weird because it was such a, man, it's so humid. It was such a huge British influence for a long time in most of India. This was Portuguese. Wow. They really tried to make it Roman looking, which is so interesting. Wait. All right, last part of the story. As you see how everything is ruined, Old Goa was abandoned. And in 1961, after a pretty crazy event actually, that, India got its independence in 1947, and then a bunch of people in surrounding states around here wanted, have a good day, bye-bye, Fir Malenge. A bunch of people in surrounding states marched in here, and there was like a really crazy battle with Portuguese. And, it was, the international community agreed that this state should no longer be a Portuguese colony, the United Nations, and they gave it to India, 1961, with the rest of Goa. But it retains its religious significance with Roman Catholicism. The Archbishop of Goa and Daman holds titles in the Patriarch of the East Indies, unlike the patriarchs in the... All right. So there's still a lot of churches. A lot of tourists come here, especially Ruski tourists. Yalla Blue Goa. Yalla Blue Historia. Okay. Corasho. All right. The East Indies enjoys the honorary title and is fully subject to the Pope. He has a place in the Latin Church similar to the Patriarchs of Venice and Lisbon. The title was conferred upon by the Holy See, the Pope, and the Portuguese Vatican and the Portuguese government concerning the link between religious and political aspects of its territories. And that's all.
What?
Let us do one more sweep through of here because I love ruins and there's a bunch of stuff I want to photo. But that's crazy, man. What a story. Fascinating story. Obrigado to all my Portuguese speaking listeners. And Dio Bocaru. Oh man, I can't even say it now. Damn it. Dio Bocaru. Shit. Konkani listeners. Dio Bocaruku. Oh no, I just forgot it. Dang it. Dhanyavad to Hindi speakers. Spasiba to Russian speakers. Main thing, obrigado to Portuguese speakers. This tower is crazy. All right. Dio Borakuru. Konkani. Dio Borakuru. I just remembered it. Peace. Thank you for walking around and getting crazy with me around Goa. Old Goa. Goa is a huge place, actually. It's a large state that lots of people live in, and lots of people moved from all over India. And
from north to south, it will just take them already 2 hours.
yeah,
So it's very big.
And lots of people work and travel here from different parts of India for the tourist industry. I don't know what exactly they're doing.
They're weeding, hand weeding.
This is a great archaeological site.
Weed whacker.
1580s, 1680s, 1780s, 1880s, 1980s. Yeah, about 500 years old. That's half a millennium. That's pretty old. All right, this place is closing. I don't want to cause any trouble. Let's get out of here. Peace. Obrigado. Long enough, you could do some talking. This reminds you of times when?
I didn't want to talk to him.
In Armenia and Albania?
No, it's one we
Where
went,
else?
Like when, yeah, just those
Rome?
No, because
Italy?
Rome is so like
Organized?
manufactured. Yeah, it's like when we would go to. Okay, this is manufactured.
There's a lot of ruins in
Yes, Albania.
poorer countries that are kind of. Oh yeah,
That's rude.
that's not rude. They don't have the money or infrastructure to, maintain tourist sites for.
Albania.
And they don't even have archaeological groups. Albania, there's a bunch of sites that don't even. Okay, this video's not about that. There's a bunch of sites that aren't even digged out.
In Albania, the point was is that you would take people on tours, the tour guides to places that they didn't even know about. So it's
I
like
wonder
that.
what this
I get it,
was.
it's manufactured, but I don't know. There's no sign.
All right.
There's a sign.
As Roman no fucker says, with this cool Doric pillar copy from the Greeks. Peace. Drunk, I admit it, but I love history. Here's a copy of a Corinthian column that the Portuguese try to do. Is definitely not the same as Roman. Or they tried their hardest. Oh man, look at all these just ruins and everything. This is actually crazy. The reason they built so high is to get closest to God as you can with your building.
And it's all free.
Go to heaven. Go to heaven. God bless. Bye bye. Cool. Woo. Bye. We jumped on a local bus and we're going to New Goa, where the thing with transport, seat of power. And then we're gonna get back to our place. That's the history of old Goa. Obrigado. It's not over yet. I got crammed into another bus. 20 cents was the last ride. This one goes right to our home area. I don't mind, man. It's hot in here. But Vanessa's sitting with a nice family. And here we go. Music and everything. Goodbye. There's the sun. Red sun. Not natural.